Good. Great. And I guess the first question would be to get to know you a little bit more. If you could share a bit about your role, who you tend to work with, and clients, and also what are your daily responsibilities, that would be really interesting.
Sure. I'm a director of marketing for Cornerstone Media Group. I handle both our brand as well as the marketing needs of our clients, whether that's developing, it's usually full scale marketing strategy and programs. So that covers organic social media, ad purchases and ad buys to the branding itself, logos, websites, how their sales teams are acquiring new business, email campaigns, you name it, we handle it. So for me, it's usually working client to client, determining what do they need, and then giving them some simple strategies to kickstart their efforts. Depending on their budgets, they'll work with us either for a complete program or just helping out with what they can afford. Sometimes that's as small as just helping them rebrand the company and give them that action list and check in with them quarterly, to full scale clients that work with us day in and day out.
So this is not unique setup. You have your own agency brand and then loads of clients basically.
Yeah. So I'm using marketing for Cornerstone to get new leads and customers and clients. And then we have them, and if they come in from there, then we help them do the same thing for themselves.
It makes sense. And then when was the last time you had to implement organic growth campaign, either SEO or maybe it's social media, but when was the last time, and could you describe a bit more about that time?
Sure. Recently, I've been working with an HR company out of South Carolina, and we're actively working with them right now in this campaign. We're utilizing organic channels first and foremost in social media primarily. We do have some SEO and SEM baked into the landing pages and stuff. So the way we're operating it is folks hopefully catch some of the organic content that's being posted on social media. They engage with that. And then if they are interested further, because all of these pieces are humorous or interesting, they'll then go to the website, learn a little bit more about it, and from there facilitate that lead. And we're hopeful in doing some of that, even if we just catch them and they don't necessarily click, it might spark something in them later to start searching. When they do that, hopefully our efforts would pay off and they would see the landing pages come up because they put in the same keywords, built the campaign around.
Okay, makes sense. And could you maybe describe a bit more, like what steps did you take in that instance? And maybe it's more around SEO specifically, but you don't recall the instance. What steps do you usually take to implement that?
So specifically around SEO, if they're open to working with that, it's really just, we use a tool, SEMrush. Do some research on keywords, look at their competition and the keywords that they're purchasing, and then figure out if there's a budget for it that ads need to take into account any of that stuff. We'll recommend it. On the organic side, it's really just knowing, so they're an HR company, what are the terms that people are searching for? We'll use SEMrush to generate that keyword list, and then we go about writing the landing page, put all of the natural language in there. Sometimes we'll utilize tools like ChatGPT and others to like just do a scan and say, hey, read this keyword list. Now give me your best interpretation of what we might need to add to get better SEO. And with everything else, really, it's all a matter of setting smart goals and then routinely checking the data to see if any of that's actually coming back. So if we flood the microsite or the landing page with some specific amount of keywords, we're going to check in a month and see how much traffic was generated because of those keywords. If it looks good, we'll continue to run it until we see a decline. And then we might just continue to search, every month to see, are there new keywords popping up, or just trying to answer those nebulous questions like, what are the people doing in this space? Are they looking for it actively? Did everybody stop looking? You get what you can out of those tools. Some of it's guesswork and a lot of A/B testing. See what.
Interesting. Yeah, makes sense. And I guess what's the most difficult in that process?
It's being fickle with the audience. You never know what people are going to search for or why. In the context of that particular customer, they're an HR company. The bigger questions we have to ask ourselves are, when are people shopping for this? What triggers them looking for services like this? We know we're right on tax time right now. It's unlikely companies are going to change their HR company, their payroll, and all that stuff in the midst of trying to pay out all their taxes and make their employees happy. But maybe shortly after that, if they've had a bad experience, they might be looking for it. The difficult thing really is just reading the tea leaves. What's going on in the consumer's mind, whether you're B2B or B2C, it doesn't really matter. People are people. So it's just a matter of determining those best guesses. Most companies, unless you're a Google or a Meta, you're not sitting on billions of dollars to just flush away and buy yourself out of the problem. Most of the small businesses and medium-sized business have to be scrappy, right? So they have a particular budget that needs to be spent, and that budget has to uncover some kind of reasonable result.
Makes sense. And I guess if you had unlimited resources like time, money, people, what would you do?
If we had unlimited money, you'd just go in and buy all the Google ads out and call it a day. But you'd end up just raising the prices and pushing your competitors out. But like in each one of those avenues, there's probably a what if that you could run. If I had infinite people on a team or even just more people, then we'd generate more content because we know that obviously you can beat the system organically if you have a wealth of worthy content. So if I had 5 staffers, I could say, hey, each of you take one of these topics and write me 10 articles. And we'll just push them to the website 1 a day or 10 a day. You make social media posts, get your name out there. In any one of these directions, you could find ways to make use of it. You could have staff looking socially, see what people are talking about pursuant to your customer, figure out, is there any talking points coming up? You could look at the competition. And there's always little things that help. Last year, we helped one of our customers do a very thorough customer service audit. So we took the entire customer journey from being a prospect to actually making a purchase all the way through the customer service side. If they had to return something, how did that all look? And ultimately, just doing that audit opened the customer's eyes to like how they're treating their customer. And they realized, hey, with a couple of little changes in this process, we can make our end users happier. We know that at the end of the day, if they're happier, the possibility of referral business or even just consistent repeat business from them alone is worth its weight in gold.
Makes sense. Like finding broken steps in the funnel.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you would add here while we are in this headspace of growing organically?
Aside from that, if you're trying to grow organically, making more content, making higher quality content, I'd say that like the one piece that it's not easily replicated, but it's something for businesses to keep in mind is you have to be disruptive in the right way. It's very easy to look like your competition and say the same things that all of your competitors are saying. But if you can do something that causes your audience to stop and actually go, wait, what was that? It always works in its favor. One of the clients that I've worked with, I have a background outside of my professional life. I'm a comic book artist.
It was so memorable.
Sometimes when it makes sense, clients have come to us and said, hey, is this a comics thing or could we do something comic booky? Because we know that if you're not using some AI software to draw some crappy knockoff comic thing and you actually have a comic style, you can get people to stop. If you have a really good short form video, it just depends. I look at that as asking, what are your staff superpowers? Let's figure out, is there a place to lean in? Is somebody got a hobby or something that can change what your organic content looks like to disrupt the flow? Whether it's an ad or social media, you need some stopping power, something to make someone pause. I know for me on LinkedIn, just by not having a traditional headshot, it does get people to stop and say, oh, wait, who is this guy and why is he a cartoon? And then they can learn from that. I've got a whole marketing bend that happens because they've stopped and they've done that.
Makes sense. Thanks so much for sharing those insights. I really appreciate the insights and taking the time out of your day, Marc. Thanks so much. Okay, I'll see you next week then. See you,
You
Marc.
got it.
Bye-bye.